Hi everyone, this is Annindita Palaus, and today's video was requested by one of my meditation mastery webinar attendees, and it is a topic that could be a sensitive topic for some, especially if this is something that you have first-hand experienced yourself, or maybe somebody very close to you has experienced. And the topic is of addiction, but not just any addiction to specifically child pornography. And this could be a very controversial topic, and I totally understand that if this is a very sensitive topic for you, especially if you have experienced it firsthand yourself. It is one thing when we see stories in the news or on social media, or we read in the newspaper or a magazine stories of child abuse or child molestation. But it is another thing when we realize that somebody in our own family might be the aggressor. It is hard for us to imagine that our own family members, maybe our own brother, uncle, father, could be involved in something that everybody considers so shameful and so disgusting. And I totally get it. It is one thing to hear it on the news and talk about it and feel bad about it, but it is completely different when you experience it firsthand for yourself. And the question that was submitted to me was pretty much along the same lines. Her brother was imprisoned for child pornography, and so the question is, how to deal with it? Should I just forgive and move on? How do I deal with this? And it is not easy when you hear that one of your own family members, especially someone like your brother, you grew up with him, or even, your own father, your own uncle, people you see from your very childhood. And later on, when you realize that they are involved in something that is so disgraceful, or that is something so shameful, you just cannot bring yourself on terms with it. It is hard. But at the risk of sounding too pragmatic, I do want to point this out, that addiction of any kind, whether it is addiction to food, addiction to sex, addiction to alcohol, addiction to work, it doesn't matter whether it is addiction to child pornography or addiction to regular pornography. Addiction in general is always a way for the person to find relief. The person who is addicted is really looking for a release or a relief and a short-term high. But when it comes to something like child pornography, people immediately cringe at that word, not only because there is so much of shame and guilt around this topic, but there is also a lot of shame associated with sexuality in general, and especially when it comes to abuse happening to children or animals, because children and animals are so helpless. They are so vulnerable. They are literally at our mercy. And they also represent pure innocence. And so whenever we hear of people abusing animals or children, it just affects us way more than any other form of abuse. Just because children and animals, they both are so vulnerable, they both are so innocent, they are so pure that we just cannot imagine anybody abusing or even wanting to abuse such innocent, pure, vulnerable beings. And that's why people usually have a knee-jerk reaction when they hear about things like this, that somebody is addicted to child pornography. We immediately cringe at that thought that, oh my God, that is disgusting. That is so shameful. But the thing to realize is that let's say you visit a hospital and you see their terminal patients on the beds, seriously ill. Your heart would immediately go out to them. You would hope that they get well soon. You would hope that they feel better soon. But what we don't realize is that addiction of any kind, people who are addicted to any kind of external thing, whether it is pornography, child pornography, whether it is food, sex, alcohol, work, whatever it is, they also need help. It is a kind of sickness. They also need help. They also need assistance. They also need the same amount of love and compassion that anybody who is dealing with any kind of terminal illness needs. But it is way more easier for us to be compassionate towards someone whom we might see in the hospital suffering. But when it comes to people who are addicted to something like child pornography, we don't feel that same amount of compassion towards them. We don't realize that they are also suffering. Their suffering is not external in nature. It is more internal in nature. but they also need help. And in fact, in countries like USA especially, but I'm not too sure about other countries, but I'm definitely sure that no matter where you go in the world, definitely child pornography or any kind of child molestation, very shameful. There's a lot of shame and guilt associated with it. But especially here in the US, as a therapist, if somebody comes to you and they confess that they have such feelings towards children, even if they have not acted on those feelings, but as a therapist, they have to notify the police. And it is just mandated. And so a lot of people who have this issue, they don't want to be child molesters, they don't want to be addicted to child pornography. In fact, they feel very shameful themselves too. And they know that they need help and they want help, but they cannot reach out because of the shame and the fear and the guilt associated with it. And they know that they will be labeled for life. And then later on, it's going to be difficult for them to, when they are trying to rent out an apartment at a place, or if they are trying to buy a house in a neighborhood, or if they are trying to apply for a job, it's always going to be difficult for them because they have been labeled. That is on their records. And so these people, they are not even able to reach out for help. So it is quite a messy situation we have created as a society for these people. People who need help, they cannot even reach out for help because of so much shaming and guilt for something that they didn't themselves create. Of course, me saying that is easier because, it's not my brother who has been imprisoned for child pornography, or it's not my family member. So you might feel that it is easier for me to say. And I agree that probably it is easier for me to say. When it comes to forgiveness, it is not something that can be forced. But what you can do though is just having that general realization that whether it is your brother, whether it is your uncle or a neighbor or a father, doesn't matter whoever it is, but they also need help. It is really an ailment. It is an ailment just like cancer or AIDS or any other sickness. If you're able to feel compassion towards them, just remind yourself that this is also an ailment and they also need compassion and they also need your assistance and your help to overcome this. And the society that we are living in currently is not providing adequate support so they can come out openly and get themselves treated without feeling constantly shamed and constantly embarrassed. And I also believe that forgiveness is not necessary when you don't condemn to begin with. And what I mean by that is the reason we have made such a big deal with forgiveness, and there are so many books that have been written about forgiveness and how to forgive, and so many spiritual teachers talk about the power of forgiveness. And of course, forgiveness is powerful because when you are holding a grudge against somebody or any kind of negative emotion that you have against somebody, those negative emotions are really it's like a poison that you are drinking yourself and you expect that person to suffer. But it doesn't work that way. And that's why forgiveness definitely can be very powerful. But what I do believe is that forgiveness is something that you wouldn't even need to begin with if you don't condemn anybody or if you don't condemn anything. Then the need for forgiveness will not arise at all. And now you might wonder that how is it even possible that somebody does something to me and I don't even condemn that person, or somebody does something very bad to others and they are never condemned or they're never criticized. And the best way I could explain that is with this story that I came across many years ago. It is a story by Neale Donald Walsh, the author of Conversations with God, one of my favorite books so far. And the story is called The Story of the Sun and the Little Soul. And I thought that I would read out the story, and hopefully the story will provide some insight into what I am trying to explain here. Once upon a time, there was a little soul who said to God, "I know who I am." And God said, "That's wonderful, who are you?" And the little soul shouted, "I am the light." God smiled a big smile. "That's right," God exclaimed, "you are the light." The little soul was so happy, for it had figured out who it was. "Wow," said the little soul, "this is really cool." But soon knowing who it was not enough. The little soul felt stirrings inside and now wanted to be who it was. And so the little soul went to God and said, "Hi God, Now that I know who I am, is it okay for me to be it? And God said, you mean you want to be who you already are? Well, replied the little soul, it's one thing to know who I am, and another thing altogether to be who I am. But you already are the light, God repeated, smiling again. Yes, but I want to see what it feels like, said the little soul. Well, said God with a chuckle, I suppose I should have known. You always were the adventuresome one. Then God's expression changed. There is only one thing. What? Asked the little soul. Well, there is nothing else but light. You see, I created nothing but what you are. And so, there is no easy way for you to experience yourself as who you are, since there is nothing that you are not. Think of it this way, said God. You are like a candle in the sun. You are there all right, along with a million gazillion other candles. And the sun would not be the sun without you. It would be a sun without one of its candles, and it would not shine as brightly. Yet, how to know yourself as light when you are amidst the light? That is the question. Well, the little soul said, you are God, think of something. Once more, God smiled. I already have, God said. Since you cannot see yourself as the light, when you are in the light, we will surround you with darkness. What's darkness? The little soul asked. God replied, it is which you are not. Will I be afraid of the dark? Asked the little soul. Only if you choose to be, God answered. There is nothing really to be afraid of, unless you decide that there is. You see, we are making it all up. We are pretending. Oh, said the little soul, and felt better already. Then God explained that in order to experience anything at all, the exact opposite of it must appear. It is a great gift, God said, because without it, you could not know what anything is like. You could not know warm without cold, up without down, fast without slow. You could not know left without right, here without there, now without then. And so, God concluded, when you are surrounded with darkness, do not shake your fist and raise your voice and curse the darkness. Rather, be a light unto the darkness, and don't be mad about it. Then you will know who you really are, and all others will know too. Let your light shine so that everyone will know how special you are. You mean it's okay to let others see how special I am? Asked the little soul. Of course, God said, it is very okay. But remember, special does not mean better. Everybody is special, each in their own way. Yet, many others have forgotten that. They will see that it is okay for them to be special when you see that it is okay for you to be special. Wow, said the little soul, dancing and skipping with joy. I can be as special as I want to be? Yes, and you can start right now, God said. What part of special do you want to be? God asked. What part of special? The little soul repeated. I don't understand. Well, God explained. Being the light is being special, and being special has a lot of parts to it. It is special to be kind. It is special to be gentle. It is special to be creative. It is special to be patient. Can you think of any other ways it is special to be? The little soul sat quietly for a moment and then said, I can think of lots of ways to be special. It is special to be helpful. It is special to be sharing. It is special to be friendly. Yes, God agreed. And you can be all of those things, or any part of special you wish to be at any given moment. That's what it means to be the light. I know what I want to be, the little soul announced with great excitement. I want to be the part of special called forgiving. Isn't it special to be forgiving? Oh yes, God said. That is very special. Okay, said the little soul. That's what I want to be. I want to be forgiving. I want to experience myself as that. Good, said God. But there is only one thing you should know. There is no one to forgive. No one? The little soul could hardly believe what had been said. No one, God repeated. Everything I have made is perfect. There is not a single soul in all creation less perfect than you. Look around. It was then that the little soul realized that a large crowd had gathered. Souls had come from far and wide, from all over the kingdom, for the word had gone forth that the little soul was having an extraordinary conversation with God. And everyone wanted to hear what they were saying. Looking at the countless other souls gathered, there the little soul had to agree. None appeared less wonderful, less magnificent, or less perfect than the little soul itself. Such was the wonder of the souls gathered around, and so bright was their light, that the little soul could scarcely gaze upon them. Who then to forgive? Asked God. Boy, this is going to be no fun at all, grumbled the little soul. I wanted to experience myself as one who forgives. I wanted to know what that part of special would be like. And then the little soul learned what it must feel like to be sad. But just then a friendly soul stepped forward from the crowd. Not to worry, little soul, the friendly soul said. I will help you. You will? The little soul brightened. But what can you do? Why, I can give you someone to forgive. You can? Certainly, chirped the friendly soul. I can come into your next lifetime and do something for you to forgive. But why? Why would you do that? The little soul asked. You who are such a being of such utter perfection, you who vibrate with such a speed that it creates a light so bright that I can hardly gaze upon you. What could cause you to want to slow down your vibration to such a speed that your bright light would become so dark and dense? What could cause you to come into my life and make yourself so heavy that you could do this bad thing? Simple, the friendly soul said. I would do it because I love you. The little soul seemed surprised at the answer. Don't be so amazed, said the friendly soul. You have done the same thing for me, don't you remember? Oh, we have danced together, you and I, many times. Through the eons and across all the ages have we danced. Across all time and in many places have we played together. You just don't remember. We have both been all of it. We have been the up and the down of it, the left and the right of it. We have been here and there, now and then. We have been the male and the female, the good and the bad. We have been both the victim and the villain. Thus have we come together, you and I, many times before, each bringing to the other the exact and perfect opportunity to express and to experience who we really are. And so the friendly soul explained further, I will come into your next lifetime and be the bad one this time. I will do something really terrible, and then you can experience yourself as the one who forgives. But what will you do? The little soul asked, just a little nervously. That will be so terrible. Oh, replied the friendly soul with a twinkle. We will think of something. Then the friendly soul seemed to turn serious and said in a quiet voice, You are right about one thing, you know. What is that? The little soul wanted to know. I will have to slow down my vibration and become very heavy to do this not so nice thing. I will have to pretend to be something very unlike myself. And so, I have but one favor to ask of you in return. Of anything, anything, cried the little soul, and began to dance and sing. I get to be forgiving, I get to be forgiving. Then the little soul saw that the friendly soul was remaining very quiet. What is it? The little soul asked. What can I do for you? You are such an angel to be willing to do this for me. Of course, this friendly soul is an angel, God interrupted. Everyone is. Always remember, I have sent you nothing but angels. And so the little soul wanted, more than ever, to grant the friendly soul's request. What can I do for you? The little soul asked. In the moment that I strike you and smite you, the friendly soul replied. In the moment that I do the worst to you that you could possibly imagine. In that very moment, remember who I really am. Oh, I will, cried the little soul. I promise, I will always remember you as I see you right here, right now. Good, said the friendly soul, because you see, I will have been pretending so hard, I will have forgotten myself. And if you do not remember me as I really am, I may not be able to remember for a very long time. And if I forget who I am, you may even forget who you are, and we will both be lost. Then we will need another soul to come along and remind us both who we are. No, we won't, the little soul promised again. I will remember you. And I will thank you for bringing me this gift, the chance to experience myself as who I am. And so the agreement was made, and the little soul went forth into a new lifetime, excited to be the light, which was very special, and excited to be that part of special called forgiveness. And the little soul waited anxiously to be able to experience itself as forgiveness and to thank whatever other soul made it possible. And at all the moments in that new lifetime, whenever a new soul appeared on the scene, whether that new soul brought joy or sadness, and especially if it brought sadness, the little soul thought of what God had said. Always remember, God had smiled. I have sent you nothing but angels. So I hope that story resonated with you and it made some sense. Of course, forgiveness is not something that can be forced upon. And it's not something that just by listening to a video and just by me telling you to forgive, or just by listening to a story, you would be able to do that. But I hope that this video brings you some amount of clarity so that you are able to bring yourself to a place of at least understanding and compassion towards these people. It might not be full forgiveness, but if you are able to at least bring yourself to a place of compassion, that itself might be a huge help towards that person in their healing and in assisting them to get over this addiction. So as always, if you like this video, then like it, share it, and remember to subscribe to my channel. And if you have any questions or if there are any topics that you would like to see me making a video on, then leave that in your comments below as well. Thanks for watching. I will be back soon with another new video. Bye for now.